Well, the hunters have all gone home. Virgil's gone home. I went home for a couple of days and then got to come back up here to the camp, and I got a lot of straightening up to do, organizing, putting stands away and stuff like that. Virgil stuck around for a couple of days, did a little fishing, and also just kind of just went to the woods with me. And he was just a great help around camp and so forth. It's unfortunate that he can't really do anything in the woods to help the hunters, but anyway, he just was real popular with the guys. He's got good stories and a good sense of humor, and he's just a fun guy to have around. So Don and Terry stayed an extra half a day and helped pull stands out of the woods too, so that was helpful. And so I got everything back in, and I just thought I would talk through a couple of things that you're probably interested in, or maybe answer questions that you have. And I'm still going to do a video on this bear, number 6007, with the tags. I just haven't had time to sit down and read through the materials that Andy at the DNR sent me, but I'm gonna do that here hopefully in the next week or two. And also, you're probably interested in that wolf that had the radio collar. Somebody that watches my YouTube channel knows the biologist within the DNR, one of them that works with wolves, and so she contacted me and gave me some information about this wolf. Interestingly, I got this wolf on camera 5.5 miles away on a different bait after the bait ran out. Then only one day later, this wolf was on a different bait 5.5 miles north of there. And that's thick woods to go through with 3 legs in one day, but this wolf did it. And so the biologist told me that this wolf pretty much stays right alongside of Highway 65 and pretty much feeds on roadkill. She's looking pretty raggy, skinny, doesn't have probably the capability to actually run down a deer, so she's just got to scavenge whatever she can and primarily survives on roadkill. If we have a tough winter, this wolf is probably not going to make it. But anyway, that's an interesting aside. I had a lot of wolves on camera, and I think I decided not to use any meat this year because I know that I'm in an area with a lot of wolves. But I did use some fryer oil on breads, and because I was so low on pastries and I was going through so much bait. And I think that attracted the wolves as well, so I have to kind of think about that in the future. But most of my baits, out of the 14 baits, I think probably 8 of them had wolves on them. Mostly it wasn't regular, but we did have one situation like Terry's third night. She had a pair of wolves come rolling through and hang around the bait for a few minutes right at prime time. Well, wolves and bears do not mix well, and wolves are one of the few predators that bears have. And I've done other videos on that and stories for magazines and so forth, so there's information out there on that. But so the wolves are there's a super high population of wolves up in this area. One other thing I wanted to bring up was the barrels, that my new system this year that I used. It worked really well. The problem was that I had so many bears on the baits and they were so hungry that I just couldn't keep bait in front of them. And it's always been, not always, but for the last few years I've become convinced that the most important factor in not losing your bears is to have bait there whenever they come. And I want them rewarded each time they come there. Well, this year it was just impossible to do that because I just couldn't run enough baits with the bait that I had and doing this by myself. Looking back, I probably should have hired a guide. I thought I could do it myself for this first year, but I would put 6-8 buckets of bait, fill up a 30-gallon drum, and then I'd come back the day. I'd fill them every other day, and they were completely wiped out. And when the bears would come and there wasn't any bait, they'd twist the barrel off the tree, they'd bite the bands off the barrel, and one case, I never did find the lid for the barrel. I have no idea. I did circles. I followed the trails. Never did find the lid, so I don't know where it went. And I had several bands get busted. They actually bite onto the chain where it's lag bolted into the tree, and they pull out a 3-inch lag screw just pull it right out of the tree. So, I mean, they're super strong, we all know that, but this was pretty unusual that it had that much stuff get busted up. So that's something else that needs work. If I'd have known it was going to be that bad, I probably would have put 2 barrels out there and just put one with a small hole and just fill it with trail mix, and then the other one used for the pastries and the other stuff that I was using and so forth. But anyway, that's a lesson that I learned this year that you know, I'll be able to use more going forward. So I was pretty excited that everybody got their bear, and out of the 5 people, 4 of them had a shot opportunity their first night. Shot a bear the first night that they sat. And then Jason M. did not see a bear the first night, which is really unusual because there was a small bear that was basically camped out at that bait, and then there was 2 bigger ones that were coming right at dark. None of them came that night he was sitting there, but the second night he shot that great big one, so he was thrilled, and I was really happy for him too. Everybody in camp was really happy to see a first-time bear hunter get a bear like that. You know, that I consider to be very, very successful. Still hearing from people who are hunting, and I think there was more acorns than we realized, because a lot of people are talking on the groups and Facebook and stuff right now, on the bear hunting groups, that they're struggling with getting bears on the baits because of the acorns. So there wasn't that much competition out there for me this year. I did see signs of other people baiting. I had 2 baits where somebody came in, and I got a picture of them on my trail camera, and then they dropped a bait in 100 yards away from my bait. There's 2 of those, and that's really unfortunate, but there's unscrupulous people out there that start late and don't have the ambition to really do this right, and they try to take advantage of others' hard work, and so that happened. I had the other guy who had been baiting the same area for quite a few years, and I ended up putting a bait in just a couple 100 yards from his baiting area, although he didn't actually come in and bait until after I was there. He turned out to be a pretty good guy, and he's got a 17-year-old son who's the bear hunter for this year anyway, and ended up shooting that really nice brown bear that was on my bait and also on his bait. He shot it on the same night that Sherry shot hers. And he turned out to be a pretty okay guy, and we've talked, and actually he has a tree service, and he came over here to camp. I got a couple of balsam trees that died in the winter last year, and I don't want them to fall on my camper and stuff, so I've hired him to come in and take those trees out for me. So that's good. And mostly the competition with bear hunters are good people generally, and I've found that if you just talk to people and work it out with them, you can get along, and we all have the same goal, and why not help each other rather than tripping over each other? That's the way I always look at it. So coming up, I'm going to do the video on bear number 6007. I like the 007 part of that. And we got some deer hunts coming. Actually, the bow hunting season here in Minnesota starts on Saturday this week. And unfortunately, been so hot and dry, I planted my food plot with brassicas in July, and it burned up. I had to plow it up and restart it. Replanted it in August, and so it's running behind. It's not very good. It's pretty sparse right now. I put 500 pounds to the acre of 10-10-10 fertilizer on it, and I've actually been running 350 feet of garden hose out there and watering it some to try to keep it alive till we get another rain here, and hopefully we'll be able to shoot some deer off of it. So I haven't decided where I'm going to go for a deer hunt for November this year. But didn't draw Iowa, didn't draw Kansas. I expected to draw one or the other of those, and so I just plan to do a do-it-yourself public land hunt in an over-the-counter state. So I also got a video coming up. I've been wanting to do this for some time, and that is how to tell boars from sows on trail camera. And I was able to get a lot of good video footage this year that will help illustrate how to determine what's a boar and what's a sow, and it's something that everybody struggles with. And the younger bears, I still sometimes have a hard time telling boars from sows, but in the more mature ones, it actually gets pretty easy if you know what to look for. So I'm going to do a video on that too. Comment if you would. I really appreciate it if you talk in the comment section about what you liked about this, what would you like to see more of, what didn't you like, and so forth. And you know, it really helps me if you give all these videos a like And you know, the more engagement I get, the more YouTube likes it. So it really helps me grow this channel, and I'm really grateful that you watch these videos and that you appreciate them, and the positive feedback that I get means a lot to me. It's a lot of work to do this, and I'd rather just go hunting instead of filming this, but it just, people get so much enjoyment out of it and follow it so closely that it means a lot to me. I want to thank you for that. So we'll see you on the next video.